I'm live. Guys, the J6ers are being released. 1,500 of them. The new president is signing it in. He's pardoning 1,500 J6ers, and my buddy Isaac will be released probably in 15 minutes. That's what his mother tells me on a text message. I'm drinking decaf coffee to celebrate. It's been locked up in Ohio for a year, since last January. Didn't do anything wrong. Didn't do anything wrong. It's a complete kangaroo court. You wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe some of the things his mother was at the trial. And she's been campaigning all across the country trying to get her son out because he didn't do anything wrong. And he's going to be out. I'm having him over for dinner next week. I'm a little excited. Is everybody here? 6 people. Waiting for Zen to start the space. Hopefully I got the right one. January 20th. Yeah, that's correct. Okay. 39 people are supposed to be here. We made some good discoveries today, too, in the Grace currencies. Whoa. I can't wait to tell you guys. And hopefully I don't get embarrassed. I don't think so, but I'm always open to correction. I've been corrected enough in my life. Well, Hayden is clearly tied up. Danny Ortiz, hello. I just finished my dinner. Eating. And I had some decaf coffee then. I'm having more now. Celebrating Isaac's release. 1,500 J6ers are being released, guys. Have you guys seen this? I'm going to share my screen. Share the screen. Hello, Ariel. Hey, you were in the chat earlier today. I saw you in there. Welcome. Let's, so here is, actually, here's the president saying it. $1,500. Can you guys hear that? Let me know if you can hear that. Well, we're happy to have you here, Ariel. The spaces are great. If you got time this week to jump into an AMA, I'll be having one at 9 a.m. Pacific on Wednesday. You're gonna learn a lot. I can't hear the audio. It's just Donald Trump saying, "When I get to the Oval Office tonight, I'm going to sign pardons for a lot of people." He said it just like that. A lot of people. Yeah, 1,500. 1,500. And my buddy is one of them. There were guys that were locked up, like one of my buddies in the prison, and he was disheartened. He was discouraged. He was like, "Why am I here?" And he kind of giving up on things. And I hope sometimes I'm like, let me check my messages here. Sometimes I might be like, got the wrong link or something. Let me double check my messages here. First one froze. Okay. So I need to, give me a sec, guys. Got to go to Telegram and click on new link. Yeah, man, it's a great day. It's a great day. Start listening. Request to speak. I'll get some far as music. Hello. I requested to speak. Request listener. All I hear is music. I wonder why that is. What up, PB? PB? Yeah. Throw an orange pardon in there. That would be over the top. I hope that's coming too. Oh. Good evening.
What's up, Banana? Sorry, the original link froze, so I had to start a new Spaces.
That's okay. That's okay. Actually,
so if you're listening, this is a new Spaces link. So if you shared the old one around, please reshare this one around.
Yeah.
If you want to get eyeballs on it, because the old one is obsolete.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to drop that on Twitter just to be sure. Okay. Yeah. Instead of saying good evening, I should have said great evening, because that's what it is turning out to be.
You gonna hit us with the news? I've been so busy all day that I've you probably even know. I saw you sent me a few DMs and I haven't even responded just because I've been so wrapped up today.
I can tell. Well, you're a busy small business guy. All right, can I share the latest news that has nothing to do with crypto except he holds RH tokens?
Sure.
Donald Trump, 2 hours ago, says when he gets back to his Oval Office tonight, he's going to release. I'm using his words, a lot of people. So one of my buddies is locked up we're in the Northwest. He's in Ohio, been there since January in a prison. Shouldn't be there. And his mother texts me after dinner tonight, after my dinner. She says he will be out within 30 minutes. So he's probably out right now. His mother and other families have been, what they would do is they stationed people at these prisons for people to be there when these guys get out. And the president just pardoned 1,500 people, is what I heard. And Isaac has a backpack of personal items there in Ohio for him, waiting for him, and he's probably going to fly back tomorrow. Unless he's jump on an airplane tonight, which I would find hard to believe, but apparently he's going to be released. I'm so excited because I know the guy, and he doesn't belong in prison. Yeah, everybody can make a mistake, but he didn't do nothing wrong. And a lot of those guys didn't do anything wrong. And it was an opportunity for our president to flex his muscles. He literally pardoned 1,500 people on the day of his inauguration before midnight. Think about that. Huh. I hang around with a lot of grumpy old guys, and I can't stand the pessimism and the grumpiness. And I had to tell him the news. I'm like, man, why am I even telling these guys? Because I was obligated to for whatever reason. And I don't know. I hope they can be happy. I'm absolutely overjoyed for the families, for the J6ers, for myself, because I won't have to run his lawn care business this summer. I don't know. What do you think about all that? That was a lot, but what do you think?
I think it's important that people that don't deserve to be there to actually be released, or when time goes on and they're not found guilty, to obviously be released. Obviously, that wasn't the case. He just obviously released him, but I'm very, very happy for him and his family. That's for sure.
Yeah. And
happy for you if now you don't have to run his business for him. But that was super nice of you to help someone out in need. So that's amazing as well.
He's one of my onboards to X.
Oh, nice.
Really? Yeah. So he missed a lot of opportunities to, pump up his bags this past summer, because he was working for dimes and not hundreds of dollars. Literally, they don't pay you much in prison. But yeah, man, that's just one thing that happened today. Was there any other inauguration day news that we maybe missed?
Well, Biden pardoned about the same amount of people in his close circle. Like, he pardoned his brother, he pardoned his sister, he pardoned his aunt, he pardoned Milk Millie, or that general. He pardoned Fauci. He pardoned a lot of people.
Before he left the office, I bet.
Literally, I think it was like an hour before he was leaving office.
Huh. Okay. Well, I'm just happy for the guys that, I mean, one of my buddies in the prison was like, why am I here? Just discouraged, disheartened, kind of giving up on life. And that breaks my heart. You know, he's like, why am I here? I'm wasting away. But my buddy was sentenced to 6 years. 6 years. Well, he served 1 year. But this is the thing. His mother visited him last week. And he says, if I need to be here and serve my term for the sake of the country, I'll do it. Yeah, I think a lot of those guys shared that attitude, that they're willing to sacrifice their life for a good portion of it for the country. I mean, well, we should get off that topic. Sorry for bringing us onto it, but it is a thing. I have a couple other things that we should talk about.
Shoot.
So Kong updated his website. Look into ptgc.com. And let me share my screen so I can show you guys what I'm going to, so I can talk and show. I am not even ready to share a screen yet. As a matter of fact, I got the wrong screen shared, so I'll undo that one. Present. I got a bunch of slides done today for my presentation, which was great. And some of the guys in the chat helped me with them. Really appreciate it. So the tab that Kong added is on the free side. There's a paid side of the site and a free site. And the tab that he built in is actually on the free site. And I got to look it up. So give me a second. And what he built basically is a way to estimate how much locking rewards you can get for a given unlock. So say a guy, and I'll show you guys in here as soon as I can find it. Locking calc. You can put in a total locked pTGC. Okay, that's the total of the system total right here at the top. And then you simulate a unlock amount. I'm going to set it to 1 billion. Let's say some wallet unlocks 1 billion tokens, and we know that the penalty is 30%. That means 300 million tokens are going to get distributed to the other lockers. How much is your locked pTGC? Well, let's say your locked pTGC is 100 million. And let's say it's all locked for 10 years. So it's going to garner 100% of the rewards that are possible for that amount of pTGC that you've locked. And what you do is he built in a price simulator. So let's say one day when this happens in the future, the price went to 10 cents. And that's why this guy is unlocking this 1 billion pTGC, because it's worth maybe $100 million, something like that at that time. So this wallet with 100 million pTGC locked for 10 years would take home an estimated 733,000 tokens worth at 10 cents, worth $73,000. How about that, Zan?
Yeah, no, that's a super awesome tool.
Yeah.
That's one thing I like. We talked about this previously about the locking rewards, is how they kind of work off of the emergency and staking model, where it's not based on volume or anything like that, or what price per token's worth. It's literally based off of them just losing 30% of their bag, and that bag gets distributed amongst everyone based on how much they have locked. And obviously there's less people locked than staked, and definitely less people locked than holding. So just less people to share amongst.
Yes. And if you guys didn't know, and this is something that I have heard before, like so many things in pTGC, I heard and I just didn't quite grasp. But when we get rewarded in reflections and staking rewards, those tokens are based on the price that the contract buys them for, which is the now price. The locking what do you call them, Zen? They're really not rewards. What's the proper term do you think would be for the locking penalty rewards?
I think I call them locking rewards.
Okay. All right, good, because that's what I'll
to you, I guess not rewards to someone else.
Yeah,
penalty to someone else, rewards to you.
Yes, I can go with rewards. So the lock.
What about my opinion? I call them the losers rewards. The losers that want an emergency lock.
No, I don't think we need to call them losers. I mean, I am my locking wallet is set up to unlock, on purpose, because I may want to do that. Listen, if you lock up $100 worth of tokens and it goes up to $1,000 and you emergency unlock, you're still ahead $600. Hello, that's profit. It's a little sad that you technically threw away $300, but it did go into somebody else's pocket, somebody in the system. So, but the difference between yield on reflections and staking is that monies comes into your wallet based on the price of pTGC today. The locking rewards are not based on price, but on token quantity. So whatever your share of that locking pool is, you're going to get your share of those tokens regardless of their value. So I have, in the last month or two, become an enormous fan of locking and a proponent of it. But I do advocate a little caution when doing it, because you are taking a chance of nuking 30% if you decided to do that. That's why I will probably always add this. Don't just go lock up a big fat bag. Break it up into some smaller ones. And there's some other things you might want to do with your locking posture. And if you jump in on one of my AMAs, I can talk more about it at length. But cool calculator. That's a really cool calculator.
Yeah, Banana. And then I know you've also made a little bit of progress on your wallet that you kind of set up just for data.
Mm-hmm.
And since we're kind of on this topic, would you like to go over the data that you've found as far as like what you've earned in holding, staking, and locking ratio wise based on each other?
Yes, I can unpack that. Are you talking about like the images that I sent to you earlier today with the APY?
Yeah, I don't think we can go into the APY also, but I just wanted to point out, because I've always been I've been quite impressed with the amount of rewards that you actually receive from locking. It actually has been a little bit even juicier than I thought it would be. It's about 2/3 of what you receive from holding, and I know that's still below holding, but the thing is it's added on top of each other. It's not one or the other, like a lot of other different systems where you can't have both and you have to kind of pick. With this, it's a adding thing. So if you hold, you're earning this, and then if you stake, you're earning this and this, and then if you're locking, you're earning this and this, all added up.
Right.
And it was nice that you had that data that's almost exactly a year old now, obviously with a very small wallet, but that you can scale the numbers out to however big of wallet that you want to imagine for each user, right?
Yes. All right. So I have that in front of me. So we locked up a million pTGC last February 10th. So it's not a full year, but it's really close. It has earned, I'm going to use round numbers, 15,000 pTGC in reflections, 25,000 for staking, 10,000 for locking. So the staking was 165%. So Zen and I have been estimating it was 130%. And then Saturday we figured it out that it's 160, but I got real granular with it this morning, and it's actually 165% more for staking your pTGC, and an additional 40.37 on top of that for locking. And what's interesting is, and you guys can do the math on this if you want. I built a little calculator down here, but I think some of the formulas are incorrect. Besides, I like Kong's formulas better.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
Too, Banana. You said the locking was 40%.
Yes.
Is that 40% of the staking rewards? Because I can tell already it's roughly 66% of the holding rewards.
The holding. Okay. Yeah. So how would that be? I was having a little bit of trouble trying to break that down this afternoon for a whatever diagram.
Well, because what we're trying to like compare it to is to just holding, right? And you're saying 15,000 you're receiving for just holding, but the additional to that for locking was 10,000, right?
Right, but you can't lock without staking.
Oh, 100%. I get that, but what we're kind of comparing it to is like we're kind of adding the two together, right?
Yes.
But what I was kind of getting at is what we were comparing staking to was holding, right?
Right.
So why wouldn't we compare locking to holding as well? You know, we want that common variable to compare something to.
Okay.
Not different variables.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Just in a comparison model. I get what you're saying, that you can't lock without staking, but comparing to just holding, I like using a common comparison. Yeah. True.
So it's going to be more than 165% for locking. I think is where you're going with that, right?
That's fine too. But no, I was more just saying that, you know, the additional rewards you receive for locking compared to your just holding, if you exclude the staking amount, that 160%, like you're already earning an additional 65% for staking.
Yes.
And you're earning an additional 66% for locking. And then you can add two together, equaling 220 or 231%, right?
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So if you stake and lock the tokens, you're earning 231%.
Yes, 231% more than just holding.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, and that was a big deal. I think that was a big discovery that we made as a community. You know, I don't know if anybody had figured that out on their own before, but you know, this 1 million pTGC lock came in handy for figuring that out.
Yeah, I think it's a good data point because that wallet wasn't created in the first 5 months, right? I think it's 5 months old, right? 5 months after the launch of the project. So within the first 5 months, like stuff was pretty crazy, right? People are unlocking all the time. There's tons of kind of tokens moving around. So I kind of like that the data point isn't super, super early. It's actually 5 months after the launch of the product. And that's what I find very interesting about this wallet is it kind of shows like, hey, you know, this is, you know, at one time, you know, and I don't like to say this, Banana, but when you came in, you're like, gosh, I wish I found this earlier, right? This is kind of what we hear all the time, new people come in, but it's kind of interesting is kind of once you do your time in the system and you then become like the early people that then new people come and they're like, I wish I found it when you found it, right? Or, you know, some people look back, oh, I wish I found it when Banana found it or when when we first talked about it. So
Yes.
I kind of like this wallet because it was like not even right at the fresh of the new year, but it was in February when PulseChain was kind of chugging up at this point. We should look at what PulseChain was on this exact day, because it was definitely higher than it is today, right?
Yes.
So maybe double, if I had to just guess off of just.
It was 80% from January 8th from in 2024 to this day, up about 80%.
Yeah, and then I was talking somewhat about when Banana made this wallet, which was like February something.
February 10th.
February 10th. So I don't know. It's just kind of interesting to see like where, if you didn't take the action on this with your pulse or where your pulse would be at. Obviously down is the answer, and where your pTGC has gone, and your locked positions have grown, and you've earned APY on it, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So, do you want to talk about APY?
Yeah, we can go over what that APY kind of equals out to be.
Okay, because I would like your feedback on it too, because we used the same wallet, that same test wallet, and I made another one after UFO came out. Same principle: 1 million UFO held in a wallet and 1 million UFO LP'd, which is the max that you can do with, you can hold it or you can LP it. It's the only two things you can do with UFO. And I wanted to see what the profit would be. And then Shaka Vibes and I hammered it out this afternoon or this morning and figured out what the APY was for that wallet over the last year for the UFO and pTGC. So we'll just start with pTGC. And the initial value of the bag that I bought, I think I bought it on March 14th or something like that. It was $47 for 1 million tokens. Today's value, including the yield, which I don't have in front of me, is $575. So it came out to be a 57% APY, and that's holding, staking, and locking for 10 years. 57% APY. So that's what that's technically what we earned. If you had a 10-year lock last year, you earned 57% APY.
On the value you entered into the system with.
Correct. Between February 10th up till today.
Nice. Yeah, no, I like that.
Cool. Well, let's have a look
at one thing I want to keep also for people to keep in mind, and this isn't no guarantee of the future, but what I predict the system will do is, as PulseChain starts kind of running with us, I do think the APY will start to increase due to our liquidity web increasing in size. A lot of people don't actually realize this, but since, for an example, this wallet that Banana is talking about, PulseChain has actually gone down. So the size of our LPs have actually been sucked down or reduced, which in a way actually reduces our APY as well, due to the fact that it's shrinking the value of our utility generating system. So what I can predict and not guarantee, but what I think will happen in the future, just due to how we've studied these systems working, is as PulseChain goes back up, our liquidity pools will grow, which then makes it so arbitrage bots need to move more value, which then makes the APY even more enticing, obviously.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's have a look at the UFO APY.
Because these APYs, just for everyone listening, are based off of dollar value entered in with, not quantity of tokens.
Right. Yep. So
okay, go ahead. I just kind of wanted to make all those details.
Sure. So I was holding. I started this on May. I think it was May 14th, something like that. Very like the week. It was the week of the UFO launch. I think it launched on a Thursday or a Friday. By midweek the next week, I had bought 2 million UFO, and I had them one just sitting in this wallet, same wallet that the pTGC experiment is in, and then the other one LP'd. So one is earning reflections, and the other one is earning LP rewards. Cool. Let's see where this thing goes. Well, it hasn't been a year. I think it's been 8. I think it's been 9. It has been 9 months. So we have the initial value here of each. Each of them was $3.07 worth of UFO. That's how much a million cost back then. So we add those two together. The initial value is $6. The reflections APY was 93%. The LP APY was 53%. And the value today of all the reflections that were earned and the pulse that were earned for LPing is $122 today.
Yeah. One thing I find interesting about that in it is the APY that you received by holding obviously did X's because it was coming in at UFO, and then UFO did X's, right?
Right.
But the PLS that you've been receiving is actually even below the price that UFO launched at.
Run that
PLS.
last part by me again.
So in the UFO holdings, the UFO that you've been receiving, because you're kind of doing this APY based on dollar values.
Yes.
The UFO that you received was doing X's as well, right?
Yes.
But the PLS that you were receiving hasn't done any X's. PLS is actually down since the launch of UFO.
Correct.
Like, I think UFO launched when PLS was at 0.000406, and now it's like 0.4045, right?
Yeah.
So it's actually kind of cool, in my opinion, that the APY is still more for providing LP at your early share UFO share rates. It might not be, and I actually don't think it would still be the same today if PLS kept not performing and UFO kept overperforming. That it would still be a better APY option to provide LP. That's kind of what you need to figure out on your own. But for you, your APY, since you locked in earlier UFO share rates, was actually still better on the PLS LPing side than even without the X's, right?
Right.
Because you earned more dollar value there, correct?
No, I earned more in reflections.
Oh, my bad. I heard you wrong then. Gotcha.
Okay.
Let me just rant for.
I'm sorry. You're the math guy and I'm the not math guy.
No,
and
I heard it wrong then.
Yeah, that's okay.
So tell me that again. How much did you earn in dollar value for reflections? How much did
I
you earn in?
I don't have a dollar value. I have a percent. So
Okay.
the reflections APY was 93%. The LP APY was 53%.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes more sense. I flipped them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because obviously the UFO that you received was doing X's.
Yes. Yeah, but like you said, the pulse for LPing was not doing X's.
Correct.
Well, what I'm going to do, Zen, like with the pTGC experiment, is I'm going to make a timestamp on the spreadsheet for a year, and I will log this, this findings, and then a year from today, we will revisit it, and then I'll do the same thing for UFO, and we'll see if the LP APY improves over the reflections APY. I mean, we don't know, but that it might do that.
Yeah,
doubt it.
I think it would be very hard if UFO just kept outperforming PLS, which I believe the system is designed to do and has proven to do for 9 months now. So I'd say that would probably be the case.
Yes. Yep, because it's a pretty well, and I made this public in the Telegram too. So, that's going to encourage people a certain way. And hopefully they don't just go haphazardly undoing their LP, their 53% APY LP, so they can get a 93% reflections APY because of the share rates. And that's something we should address here, because we're talking about this. If we undo our LP position, we might have some difficulty getting that UFO share rate back. So that's something to bear in mind. And you shouldn't just go FOMO and try to get your UFO, liquid in your wallet so you're earning reflections. You might want to
maybe you can show on this address, if you don't mind, what UFO share rate you have, Banana, and with that exact same value today, what that UFO share rate would equal.
Okay, let's do that. Give me a second. Okay, so we're going to go to the DApp. Pull this up. I've got this mouse cursor highlighter thing that I'm really enjoying, so people can see. Can you guys see my red? I don't see it on the share screen. Okay, well, I'll have to figure that out later. Let me get my Ravi wallet logged into. Pull up the wallet. Hey, let me know on YouTube if you see a red circle around my cursor, as you should. Okay, so I still got to connect the wallet here. Oh, I think it's going to pull it up. Yeah. Okay, so the share rate, well, the share rate's going to be 1 million because it was 1 million UFO.
Okay.
So there's the UFO shares, guys. It's just a fuzz. It's like 8/100ths of a UFO below 1 million. So it's 1 million.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now you wanted to demonstrate.
Well, now I believe you should be able to look at your PLS or your LP position on PulseX and see how much UFO is in there today. Or actually, you can look at it on DBank. That's probably the best spot.
Let's do that. Yeah, they can't. No red circle. Okay. Well, I can see the red circle. And I don't want to see the red circle. I want you guys to see the red circle. All right, give me a second. Let me get that wallet address.
And do you remember how much it cost you to make that UFO position, Banana?
It was $3.07 worth of UFO for 1 million. But obviously I had to, I paired it with PLS. So it would have been, so the 1 million that I paired with PLS would have been $3.07 of UFO and $3.07 of PLS. That I need to factor that into my my APY, the PLS, because I didn't do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So 1 million UFO today, for an example, cost $59. So pretty much $60.
Right.
So to get that same amount of UFO shares today, what cost you, $7 you're saying?
$6.14.
$6.14 would cost you roughly $120 today.
Whoa. But don't everybody feel like you missed out because we're still below Pulse is still below SAC rate. I just want to throw that in there because you know, people quit and leave and all that. Like, no, Pulse hasn't had its run yet. I was having a conversation.
Well, yeah, it could keep going up, right? Like the price today doesn't mean that that's going to be the price a year from now.
Right.
UFO share rates can just keep becoming more and more and more expensive. That 1 million UFO share rate could one day be $500, $1,000, right?
Yes, probably will be. I mean, we hope it will be. I was having a conversation with somebody today that was in UFO very early. And he was like, I think people getting in today, locking up the share rates, I think they are going to be very, 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 very happy, whatever. So, yeah, I'm going to hang my hat on that, obviously. Okay, I have the wallet pulled up in D-Bank.
Yeah, so I know there's already less than 1 million UFO in that wallet.
Mm-hmm.
So if you close that UFO share rate or UFO LP pool down, you would ultimately be losing your UFO share rate and not even being able to reopen it, let's say, within the same minute and get those UFO share rates back.
Yep.
So a normal LP pool has impermanent loss to it, but the nice thing about UFO share rates is there's no impermanent loss involved.
Right. So what the UFO share rate does is it locks you into still receiving your Pulse rewards based on the amount of UFO you originally paired.
Correct. Yeah, there's no impermanent loss to that system.
Mm-hmm. So like this pair, I will leave it in place for forever. It's a great experiment. I really didn't do it to make money, but just so you know, it's worth today $25.88. It has 216,530 UFO in it and 262,000 PLS. So yeah, it got nuked as far as the UFO. It started with 1 million and it's now 217,000.
Impermanently, you never know.
Yes. There is always that. Yeah.
If you don't close it, it's not permanent. It's impermanent loss.
Yeah. That's like one of my gnawing fears. Not really, but it's like, I don't ever want to close my UFO positions. And I'm like, what if I ever do it by accident or something? You know, well, just better not have an accident, I guess.
Yeah, I'd say that's anything in crypto, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And if you do something stupid on accident, then you kind of just got to live with the consequences.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we made some good discoveries. What have you been chewing on lately? Anything? You been stirring up on anything?
No, just working on educating people on the system. That's really about it.
Yeah. That's good. I've been getting ready for Panama. I got some great slides. So what I'm going to do, Zen, so you know, is I've been having fun making these slides, and I think they're good content. So I actually got them over to the Polish group. He reached out. He says, "Hey, do you have any educational material?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, I've got this slide deck." Smoothed it, sent it over to him today, and I sent him my presentation also. And once I am able to smooth like an AMA presentation with the slides that I've built, not all of them, but probably most of them, then I'll send that over to him also. But the goal is to have like a legit presentation that would take an hour and a half and like really hit some important points, like a rapid fire. So when people come to pTGC And they realize that, hey, these guys are having 2 AMAs a week, and I want people to come to them and get fully equipped to how to handle their bags and how they can make money in our ecosystem. And all kind of.
I actually kind of love the sound of that. If we could just, take even the slides you have and kind of add to those slides forever, at the end of the day, what we could end up with is an amazing PowerPoint for our educational process when we do our AMAs or VCs, or when me and you are streaming, or anyone's streaming on YouTube. If they're trying to educate people on the system, we can have these pre-done slides for people to use to help the education process.
Yes. One of my frustrations when I came into Hex was I had to listen to so much content to figure out what I needed, or I had to ask in the chat, in the Telegram chats, and there was a lot to learn. And you're not going to tell a person everything they need to know in 60 to 90 minutes, but we can give them a lot.
Yeah, sometimes you go off topic. Like, if I know I do, I'll go on some tangent, and next thing I know, I'm off topic, and I lose course a little bit. And I feel like a nice slideshow would help with that a lot.
Okay.
To really get people through the information that you were planning on getting them through without like veering completely. So I'm actually really, really excited for that, Banana, and I'm stoked you've been working on that.
Well, I'll try to remember to send you a copy of it.
Yeah, well, we stream a lot together, so maybe next time we're streaming after Panama, we'll even try to just use it, right? You can pull it up, and we'll just go through the slides.
Yeah, I use 2 slides tonight. I used the APY slides tonight that I just built them today. I have a question for you. It's a security question.
Yes.
So when I first got into the Grays currency and I was transacting my pTGC, like when I'm recycling yield into a stake so I can earn more pTGC, I'm doing that about weekly, because doing it any more than that is almost a waste of time. But when I was doing that, I made a habit of checking my contract address. And I know what the last 4 is. It's DE. No, I'm sorry. Let me back up. When I'm looking at my wallet, the last 4 is 39EF. And I also look at the first 4, and I look at the middle also. But, and yesterday, I finally put it on a yellow sticky and stuck it on my monitor. So I have it there because I don't actually have the middle part memorized. So but what I did is I went and I got the contract address from Dex Screener, and I put it on the yellow sticky. And then I was transacting today, and it wasn't 3090. It wasn't, I saw 39EF on my wallet, but what I had written down on the yellow sticky ended in DE93. And I'm like, aren't I, what's the difference here? I'm confused, man. Do you have any idea where I'm going with this? Why am I seeing 39EF on my Trezor wallet and DE93 as the last 4 on Dex Screener as the contract address? Any idea?
Yeah, pTGC technically has 3 smart contracts built into it, so I'm just guessing you're looking at one of the other ones.
Right. Okay.
But yes, the DE93 is the token address.
Okay. So maybe 39EF would be like the locking address or something.
Yeah, I would need to look at it myself before I gave you an answer, to be honest.
Okay. Well, that helps me. That helps me a lot.
Yeah,
okay.
or the stake. It could be the staking contract or something.
Yep.
But I don't want to give you an answer without like verifying it myself.
Yes. And just bear with me for a second. Vets, I have your audio in Twitter. I just have not listened to it. I keep forgetting. I can't listen to him on my computer. So I'm going to put this over here to remind me. Which led me to wonder if I was going to have the same confusion about UFO. So I looked at that also. And yes, the last 4 were different. I always look for 4018 as the last 4 but what I saw was 3BDF. So does UFO?
Yeah, again, like I said, these contracts have multiple contracts integrated with them.
Okay.
So I would see what it's interacting with and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to just guess at what it is. You know what I mean? But it's like, for an example, when you're LPing and stuff like that with UFO, like there's a smart contract that you're running through that wipes the fee on transaction. So it's kind of verifying like, oh, okay, he's entering in with the PLS and the UFO and he's going through the smart contract. So we're wiping the fee from him. So he's not getting hit with the fee when providing LP, etc. So, and then obviously pTGC has the staking smart contracts, the DAO smart contracts, and the token smart contracts as well. So
right. Okay. I do have one other thing, but I don't want to hog the show. If you guys have a contribution, a question, or anything, raise your hand.
You're hogging the show, man.
Thanks a lot, Mando.
You're hogging it.
All right, Zen, I would like you to, I was trying to unpack what you told us. I think it was either last Saturday or last Monday's space. When you talked about we could potentially fill the coffers, the DAO coffers, with $44 million over the course of a year. Can you kind of unpack how you came to that number? Because I'm ready to take some notes because I want to use it. Do you remember what I'm talking about? I have more notes on it that I can tell you.
Repeat what you're saying. The DAO coffers. I don't know what coffers is.
Just the treasury. So my notes are, I think you said it's something like a $10,000 of volume per day on pTGC. That would be $50,000 going to the DAO per day, or $18 million per year.
Not $10,000.
$10 million of volume per day. That'd be $50,000 going to the DAO, $18 million in a year. But you would come up with like $44 million. And I think UFO was in there somehow. I think maybe because it burns pTGC. And ultimately you'd come up with like $44 million. So
yeah, I'll run another simulation for you if you want real quick.
Yes, please.
So I guess we'll use that number that you just said, 10 million, right?
Okay.
If we sustain $10 million a day in volume for 365 days straight, and for this example, let's just say hypothetically, the DAO did buy and burns with all of that revenue every single day for those 365 days. Does that sound right?
Yes.
For the simulation?
Yep, exactly. You're tracking correctly.
Okay, so $10 million times 0.025, because you have the 2% going to the DAO and the 0.5% going to the buy and burn, right? Is $250,000, $250,000 a day.
Yes.
And then multiply that by 365, that would be $91 million a year.
There it is. Oh yeah, man.
Included whatever UFO did would do as well.
Okay. Awesome.
So let's say UFO, just for another fun experiment, let's say UFO did that $10 million of volume every single day, and that would be roughly $100,000 of pTGC buy and burns a day, just pTGC buy and burns. And then you multiply that by 65, that would be UFO buying and burning $36 million a year of pTGC. And then, that's 91 million. And that's if we maintained $10 million of volume every single day on average for 365 days, right? Like that's obviously
Yeah.
a high number. So that's why these numbers are coming out roughly high. But that would be $127 million of buy and burns happening a year if the Dow did 100% buy and burns for 365 days.
But that illustrates the power of the Dow. It doesn't need to do buy and burns, but whatever it's going to do is going to be benevolent. It could do buy and burns, but if it decides to not to do buy and burns, it's going to be do something equally beneficial to the system, worth probably the same dollar amount.
Yeah, I could do LP ads where it buys half pTGC, half, RH ticker. Once RH tickers kind of leave this really discounted zone, I think that the energy definitely is going to push more towards buy and burns. But, the crypto world is ever changing. 4 years from now, RH might have some other ticker that's this or that, or maybe he pulls some trick out of his sleeve that we need to take action on immediately in the future. That's the thing I love about the DAO, that you've given the example of Banana, that a standard project is a train on tracks, but we're kind of a boat on an ocean where we can kind of flow and drift where the current is least resistance, right?
Yep. That's so true. Whenever the market...
Let me add a little context. So from the beginning, just between the V1 liquidity pool, this is just the V1. That's not talking about the actually 40 plus LP positions that pTGC has surrounding itself. But since launch, has been over $27,500,000 of volume. So basically, to give you guys a number in terms of the DAO, that's basically $540,000 that we have generated in over a year just by one liquidity pool. So that's like at the bottom of PulseChain, at the bottom of the means of like how much volume is happening on PulseX, how much volume is happening on pHex, how much volume is happening on eHex, Inc, PulseChain, Teddy Bear, pDAI. And if you equate all those, or like all the liquidity pools, you're looking at probably almost over $1 million that have been sent to the DAO from the beginning.
What is the what is the pool you're talking about there on V1?
The Pulse pool?
So the main V1 Pulse pool.
Yeah.
And you're saying it's done since inception, almost 28 million in volume?
Correct. Well, that's just looking at DEX tools. You know how you can like see how much of a percentage it went up, but also gives you like how many days. So in 469 days, pTGC has done this much volume that has been captured.
Yeah, it's interesting.
At the bottom of PulseChain.
It actually, that total number though actually sounds low to me in terms of what the DAO has generated since inception in total. By far, way low.
Well, like I'm not incorporating pDAI, Teddy Bear, Natropa, PG or Hex, PulseX, all those. So if you really think about it, that's more of the lines of maybe 35 to 40 million in volume altogether. Maybe it's 50 million. But I was actually trying to look at like the pDAI pool. It wasn't giving me like a number of how much volume actually happened there. The same thing with Teddy Bear. So,
yeah, gotcha. Gabriel, you got something?
Yes, sir. I'm curious about the ecosystem, the pTGC ecosystem, and how it handles a dump. And so, if you look at the chart on the pTGC PLS chart, 3 days ago, there was a drop of 23%. How does the ecosystem handle that? I'm just curious, some feedback on that.
People like cheap pTGC, and people will buy cheap pTGC.
So when you say how does it handle it, what exactly do you mean? How does it handle it?
Well, so you were talking about different mechanisms, the buy and burn and all these different things. And you were saying something about choices and deciding to do this or that. So what was that in regards to? I was thinking that you might have different mechanisms or different things in place to kind of protect, some bots or other things, incentives to people when there is a dump.
Yeah, so first off, we don't have any bots that take action in any way when a big dump like that happens. But one thing to keep in mind is when someone dumps a large amount of tokens, a lot of that dump usually gets put towards one liquidity pool, which then puts a price difference in one liquidity pool against other liquidity pools. And then market makers will actually start pulling value out of the other liquidity pools to support the liquidity pool that got dumped into. Usually the main liquidity pool that gets dumped into is the PLS liquidity pool. So users will dump into that one, and especially if they don't have the auto router on right, or they sell a huge amount at once and don't do it in little amounts, then the market makers will actually use the other pools to help fix the price in that specific pool that they dumped within. But that's not really us having our own bot to fix that price. That's just how market makers and having other liquidity pools work together on a standard like V2 DEX system like this. They kind of, in ways, can act as reserves if someone hits a specific liquidity pool, especially hard, right? If they sell a decent chunk. But, other things that are happening is whenever a user takes profit in this system, 5% of whatever profit that they're taking has to go back to the system. And that's, one of the important things to look at. Obviously, it's a fee on transaction token. So they're doing so, but due to them selling into usually one or a few pools, the arbitrage bots will then start fixing those pools, which then causes a cause, and with every action, there's a reaction. So then on all those reactions, there's fees being generated as well. Looking back 3 days ago, I need to look at us against PulseChain.
It was 4 days ago. Sorry. The new day that came up, but it's only red candle that's 23% down.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It looks like to me that was just someone within the system obviously wanting to take some profits, and they pushed pTGC down to a somewhat discounted zone that some users probably thought was discounted as well, because now we're up 3 green days since then. And
did that correspond at all to the Trump token coming out?
January 18th.
Yes, that was Saturday.
That's Saturday.
Trump token came out, I think, Friday evening or Friday afternoon.
Yeah, the answer on that was yes. The whole ecosystem again took a hit on that day. The entire PulseChain saw a drawdown of $6 million.
I think everything except for Trump token took a hit that day.
Yeah, but that's indicative of when you look at that. It's a 14, 15% retracement that got immediately eaten up. And then, you know, the system, the currency generated thousands of dollars in revenue that's going back into the system.
Well, I mean, you just look at the following days, and it showed strength, and you know, people are buying it back up. You already regained half of that loss, and that's only been, you know, a couple days. It is interesting. The very next candle after that big 23% drop. I'm looking at the day chart, by the way. It's a lot of indecision with a big wick on each side, but you know, probably other people were trying to get into the Trump token, and equally people were buying up what they're selling.
Gabriel, there's an absolute ton of demand for pTGC tokens at this level.
Well, I see that
we literally have, just to give you some information, right? We literally have people that are large entities that just want the larger holders to sell. We literally have people that have a lot of capital that want these tokens at these levels. So anything that gets sold down into the pools at these levels, they're getting purchased up by holders. You know, and then,
right.
and then on top of that, the Dow itself at these levels considers pTGC a very undervalued asset, because with Richard Hart's core tickers on the floor still, and us being so heavily bonded with them, it just represents really an undervalued price point. So between the demand on pTGC that's coming directly from the market, which is a lot, and the demand from the Dow itself, which doesn't stop, and the market makers themselves constantly going in and out of the pools, buying and burning the tokens, and removing them from supply. That's why when you're not looking at a daily, you look at a weekly chart or you look at a monthly chart, the trend is just straight up.
Yeah, but the daily chart's good to see what was going on, like, for instance, the Trump influence and how the reaction showing the strength of pTGC.
Oh, yeah, the strength of pTGC is phenomenal, man. It's the one aspect to this crypto that's unique to this crypto.
And also you have 70% buys right now to 30% sells.
No one wants to sell the tokens. But another thing that I want to say on top of Mando is just like we're tied to RH tickers. So after that Trump token went down, PulseX, PHEX, EHEX, Inc., PDI, Teddy Bear also went down about the same amount of percentage. But after that, both PDI and Teddy Bear and PulseX and PHEX and EHEX and Inc. and PulseX and Pulse started moving up. So basically, Hart's Law also comes into effect. So the people that sell their tokens at these kind of like prices, it's like they lost their percentage, because we're not like the bigger picture about pTGC. We're not reliant on human interaction at the greater good. So there's not like we have different, I think we have up to 8 different smart contracts that buys and burns pTGC, but also we have the Dow that keeps on adding value in terms of the liquidity pools that make that when like the same kind of relationship of like PulseX and PHEX and EHEX and Inc. and PDI and Teddy Bear and Atropa, and I can name off like a lot more tokens that we're connected to heavily. It's like that's the thing that people really don't understand and grasp, because we're not reliant on just buy low, sell highs. We are an ecosystem that has never been basically done before in mankind, and we are aliens, kind of like trying to teach the masses of what could be potentially groundbreaking tech, alien tech, in the future. So that's another thing, Gabriel, in terms of how the ecosystem actually operates and works. Like, it's going to go down. Like, if some kind of big seller, like the individual the other day, they lost their position. They're gone. What they're going to have to do if they want to be a part, go back into the ecosystem, they're going to have to buy higher. And just like another thing, like at the beginning of pTGC, there was over 45 people that owned 1% of pTGC. And now we have less than 15 people that actually own 1%. So what does that mean?
And you don't have a lot of people playing that. You don't have the people, just to throw it in there, Coach. You don't have people playing wallet games, because you take a 5% hit every time you send from wallet to wallet. So when you're watching these wallets, it's very unique because no one that has a large bag of pTGC or UFO is trying to send it anywhere. No one wants to go and take a $50,000 hit just to send it to a different wallet. So there's no wallet games here, which is interesting. But I will say this, though, that just like when you go back on the daily, Gabriel, and you look at the Interpol FUD announcement, which was on the 21st of December, right? If you're staring at the daily chart, it's that red candle down isn't indicative of pTGC being sold off. Just as much as on the 18th, it's really not indicative of some massive pTGC sell-off. It's indicative of what you're staring at is that the broader market drawed down, and because of the reflexivity in the liquidity pools, because HEX went down and PulseChain went down and PDI went down, our chart comes down with it. So it's deceiving in the sense that you think you're looking at somebody selling pTGC down in copious amounts, but that's actually not what happened. That's not what's happening at all. What happened is that the reflexivity took the chart into the red, and then the second that it bounced back, you still had the same exact demand mechanics within the smart contracts. So if you had anybody that was sitting on the sidelines waiting for a dip in stable coins or in Ethereum or in bridged in BNB, the people that are waiting for pullbacks for pTGC tokens, they're not in RH tickers because they've realized that the reflexivity sitting in RH tickers on PulseChain, if you're looking for a good entry point on one of these big dips, you can't be sitting in the RH tickers because it's going to go down with everything. You're going to lose that momentum in your purchasing power. So the people who are on PulseChain right now looking for these sick dips on pTGC, when they happen, they're either in DAI, USDT, USDC, Bitcoin, the real bridge in Bitcoin, or Ethereum, so that they can actually take advantage of those dips.
That's a great point. I see on the 21st of December, there was a 47% drop. And then the very next day, it went right back up. 2 days, right back up.
And that was not, and if you didn't know how the system worked, you'd think, oh, somebody sold pTGC down. Absolutely not what happened. Absolutely not. Nobody sold the pTGC down. That was Interpol FUD. Everything that we're bonded to went down in price. We go down with it. And then the second it went back up, we go right back up with it. It's like a wave. And the demand for the product on our end never stopped. And that's why we came right back up and then went straight through the floor and straight back up to new highs.
Then also, real quick, Gabriel, let me add this to the context, to the conversation. everybody probably knows I am I'm very adamant on watching a lot of stuff in terms of like the market and everything. And like especially during like the that FUD event in terms of PulseChain and Hex and stuff like that. In terms of PGC, like there were a couple different buys and sells of like greater than like $10,000 that were bots. And what they're actually doing is just fixing the prices of the liquidity pools. So you can actually see a bot coming in, buying PGC with PHEX and then exiting in terms of Pulse, or the opposite, because of how many different liquidity pools, of like how many doors you can open and shut to actually exit out of the system. So like a lot, especially when we are our PulseChain is moving down, you see this a lot happening. So like in terms of like, if you see like sells, look into the wallet and you can actually see probably 7 times out of 10 that they're actually bots that pay the 5% in, the 5% out, regardless.
Yeah,
so it's just like,
but on those 2 events, specifically speaking about, on the Interpol event, Gabriel, the system generated almost $200,000 of pure revenue in PulseChain in 24 hours. And then on the other day you're speaking about, which was on the 18th, do you guys remember the amount of revenue was generated? I think it was like, because a lot of PulseChain came in. I think it was like 700 million PulseChain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this system, not only when you're looking at, and this is why people, even in our own community that haven't paid attention, they don't know what they're talking about when they talk about, they think they can do regular TA on something when they don't realize that what they're looking at is reflexivity in a chart and not bids and asks in a chart. And when you don't know the difference between bids and asks on a chart and reflexivity, you don't know what you're looking at. It's just a fact. You think you're seeing, people pressing the button on the sell button, but that's actually not what you're seeing. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not a little bit of buying and selling going on in there, but when you're looking at that Interpol FUD down, straight down, and you're looking at what happened the other day when everything kind of left other chains for the Trump and Melania coins, that's reflexivity in those charts. The difference is here in this system, this is the only system where it's generating literally thousands, up to hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue, and literally turning around and handing it to the token holders. 100% of it.
Yeah, but that's with any tax token. I mean, that's not special.
It is not. It is not. That is incorrect. It is incorrect. You might garner revenue from a tax token, but giving it 100% to the holders, no. And in the right places and in the right distribution model, no.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, I like that.
Well, and then also real quick, one other thing that separates us from other fiat transaction tokens is we are one of the first models to do it with this liquidity web structure that actually makes it to where the revenue that we're generating comes from outside sources instead of from inside sources. So in a standard fiat transaction token, they're relying on new users to come in and out to earn the fee off of their own users. But we're relying on market makers fixing our liquidity pools. So then we're making our revenue off of the market makers just doing what they do on chain, fixing liquidity pools. So we're using the system to generate revenue from outside sources instead of it to generate revenue from inside sources. And the problem with crypto or even fiat transaction tokens is they all are looking to generate revenue off of inside sources. That's why they're trying to onboard people to the tokens so then they can bring that revenue into the system. But the problem is that user that they bought in, that user eventually wants something out of the system, right? Even if they paid a non-fiat transaction or a fiat transaction, even if it's a zero tax token, right? They buy the ticker expecting something out in return. But the arbitrage bot, when it interacts with our system, they get what they want out of the system right when they interact. They fix this pool for that pool, and that's it. They made their 1% that they wanted to make off of our system, but then we made our 10% off of them, and we don't owe anything to them in the future. We just get the revenue brought in. And that's really what it takes a couple of times to understand, where a lot of people automatically think, oh, fiat transaction token, I understand that, I know that, because they base off of DeFi from last cycle. But that's kind of why we call this DeFi 3.0. It's, you have to look at it as just one piece or one piece of the formula or one piece of the puzzle, right? Or one ingredient of the formula. You have to have all of the ingredients to actually get the secret formula.
Well, I was very, I've had some long conversations here. I think it was probably with you. Are you the one that programmed it?
I'm the founder, so I come up with a lot of the ideas and then work through these ideas with developers. I'm not a developer myself, but me and you have had a conversation on Spaces before, and I think Mando was there also.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
We did.
Okay, so yeah, I'm very positive on all the pieces, but the unfortunate thing that the mind, when there's just too many good things, you're like, I'm missing something. There's something that's not going to be beneficial. If I would have bought back then, it would have been really good. But it doesn't matter. The important thing is that I'm really interested in the liquidity providing. Can you tell me a little bit about, since their ratios and the impermanent loss, and you were kind of, the Prairie Banana was talking about some liquidity providing and
UFO.
impermanent loss. Is there any, could you mention a little bit of how that could be a better liquidity providing yield kind of situation, like on a daily basis? Because you could never really take out. Is the liquidity providing also taxed?
So what me and Banana were talking about, I think when you hopped in, was UFO token, which is a token part of our ecosystem. And UFO token has a farm built into it. So the farm is connected to all the RH tickers, even EHEX and PDI. Obviously, PDI isn't a confirmed RH ticker, but it adds a lot to the volatility of the web, so we included it in there. But point in case, it's a way for you to use all of your RH tickers to provide liquidity and not only earn the standard PulseX liquidity providing fees that are given to you in standard PulseX liquidity providing, but you also earn PLS farming rewards, which is your portion by providing liquidity from the fiat transaction that is incorporated with the UFO token.
Okay, but do I get taxed when I take some of this Oh, so you get PLS. Is there any? You get it just free and clear liquid PLS, and that's your reward?
Correct. Yeah. So in a standard farm, they usually pay you in an inflationary token because they have to inflate the token to pay it out. But we use our fiat transaction to buy PLS and pay the APY out that way. And to answer your question, if this does answer what you're getting at, is when you provide LP via UFO and you use our smart contract, either our DApp or just interacting with code on the blockchain, whatever you feel you want to do, but by our DApp is how most people do it. You don't have to pay the fiat transaction because the smart contract that you route through waives it for you. And real quick, Gabriel, because I know where you're going with that comment earlier, that if you got into pTGC the last time we had this conversation, it would have been a different story because you would have been up like 10 or 20x, probably 20x on your money now. And I just kind of want to warn you that the next time you come in here, that might be the same story about now.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I think you're kind of getting at that because the last time you came in here, and I think you kind of said the same thing, like, hey, I don't want to buy this. It's up too much, but it sounds too good to be true. And what you're kind of just getting at was, well, if I bought last time I was in here, that would have been sweet because you would have been up like 20x, right? But what I'm getting at is that's what you said last time too. And if you come in here again 6 months from now, you might be saying the same thing.
Oh, totally, yeah. No, it was a capital allocation situation. I didn't think it was too high. I think it's a great price.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I just kind of wanted to point out that I personally, and this is no financial advice for everyone listening, I still think the price is very, very discounted due to the fact that PulseChain is still at half a stack rate, and we are still bonded with PulseChain. Wherever PulseChain goes, our system will get dragged, and then when PulseChain moves up, our system actually starts running better and better and better due to our liquidity web growing by the fact that PulseChain would be growing in size, making it so, for an example, if PulseChain did a 10x, our web could go from 25 million to $250 million of liquidity working for our system, which obviously would increase the buy and burn pressure, the APY pressure, etc., to the overall machine.
What's up? 18,000. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
$18,874.21 worth of liquidity was just added to the pTGC PulseX pair and burnt. So it's another almost $19,000 just given to holders.
Okay, so what is the best way to farm then? To just buy UFO directly?
Yeah, so the only way you can farm within our system is you have to have the UFO side of the pair. There is no farms that do not include UFO. So you have to obviously buy UFO, and then you get to pair that UFO with any RH ticker you might already have that's possibly not earning APY, including EHEX. So I don't think, and I could be wrong, Coach, correct me if I'm wrong, is EHEX in the PulseX farms currently, or?
Yep.
It is? Okay.
Well, a lot of my EX is with UFO, so yeah.
No, not UFO. RH's farms.
With UFO on V2?
No,
I
mean,
just forget UFO. Is EHEX in
Yes.
a farm on PulseX on Richard's farm?
No, it's not.
okay, yeah, so that's what I was getting at is,
Yeah.
so if you have any RH sticker that you're not farming with or earning APY with, or EHEX or PDI, and you want to farm with it, liquidity provide with it, earn the standard V2 PulseX fees and PLS rewards, you can do that within our system. But you have to have UFO to do so.
Okay, so you have to have both sides of the pair. And so how does that work out ratio-wise and impermanent loss-wise in trying to evaluate the risk?
It would work out exactly the same way as standard V2 liquidity providing on PulseX V2.
So there's no
Both sides
advantage
equally.
going through your farm?
The advantage is you earn PLS rewards based on the UFO share rates when you enter through our smart contract. So obviously
and you
the
pay
odds
no
are,
fees. And you pay no fees.
yeah, and you pay no fees on the transactions entering in. But you earn additional rewards in PLS.
So you're earning rewards. You're getting the other tokens as well and PLS?
You get the standard PLP rewards that you get normally in PulseX V2, right? The standard LP providing rewards, and you get the PLS farming rewards. So you actually get the double dip you get the dip into both reward pools.
So in PulseX, you have V1 and V2, right? And it's an either or. It's not a both and. You either earn fees or you earn ink, depending on which version you're in, right? But with this, you pair whatever you have with UFO. It's built on top of PulseX V2. And with this, you earn the fees, standardized fees, plus Pulse. So with this system, you're getting the both and, not an either or. And you're getting it in Pulse, not in ink.
Okay, what do you do with the PLP?
Nothing. It's there in your wallet. It sits in your wallet. You have ownership of that LP's position. Doesn't come out. So basically, this is what happens. You go to our DApp. We have it just shows like if you want to go into the UFO PulseX pool, you click on it. It's just interface or like the front end interface to PulseX, but it goes through a contract so the tax doesn't get hit to your UFO. So basically after that, it goes into the PulseX liquidity V2 liquidity pool and it's there. But from the volume of UFO, from the millions of dollars of liquidity that we actually have, you being a liquidity provider get 3%, not you specifically, but all the liquidity providers, 3% of the volume goes to you, depending upon what, like the same kind of thing in terms of T shares is like how many UFO shares that you have for the system providing liquidity. That's how much you of the 3% of the pulse that's going to go into your wallet that you can claim at any time, whenever you want. There's no time lock. There's no nothing. Your LP pools are in your wallet. You can see these pools. Does not get taken out. Not your keys, not your wallet. But you're getting another incentive besides the UFO and PulseX volume happening, where you're getting more UFO and PulseX. On top of that, you're getting Pulse from the volume of the ecosystem.
Thank you. That's a great walkthrough. But I'm trying to focus in on the impermanent loss and which pair to pick.
So Gabriel, there is go ahead.
So basically, Gabriel, if you understand impermanent loss and everything, of course, if UFO goes up against PulseChain about a 10x from here, so that's going to be a 10-to-1 ratio, basically, at this time, of course, you're going to be losing your UFO. But you're going to be gaining your PulseX. What is UFO? And if you actually go into it and you want to provide liquidity, you actually understand liquidity. But if the system where PulseChain is where it's at right now, and everybody is bullish on PulseChain, if PulseChain goes up a 10x, just a 10, that's a silly number. I think Richard Hart plans for, I don't know, glory type of numbers. But let's just say a 10x. So if you provided $2,000, so $1,000 of PulseX and $1,000 of UFO, that's a $2,000 liquidity pool. If PulseChain goes up a 10x, you have to think to yourself, what is PulseX going to do? It's going to do a 10x. But with the system that is already built out in place with PGC and UFO. If Pulse X does a 10x, what happens to that Pulse or PGC liquidity pool with Pulse X? It goes up a 10x. What happens with UFO's liquidity pool? It goes up a 10x. Yes, there's always that, like, what if everybody like sells their tokens? Yeah, there's that what if.
Well, let me say this, Coach. So you know how in Hex you have the ability to stake to earn yield, but you're not required to do that, right? You can just enjoy holding the asset and it goes up and you can make money. It's the same thing here. You can just purchase UFO, and people who hold liquid UFO actually earn APY in the UFO. So if you never want to participate in liquidity provisioning using UFO, you don't ever have to. If you don't understand impermanent loss, Gabriel, if you've never really done liquidity provisioning and it's just not something that's up your alley, you don't have to participate in that to participate in the gains of the token. Because everybody that's actually participating in the UFO hive super farm is what I call it, they actually are participating in generating tons of liquidity within these farms, and and holders, not liquidity providers, just holders are benefiting from all of that liquidity that's charging a 6% fee on transaction for the rebalancing of those pools. So if you don't want to participate in that or deal with the permanent loss, you don't have to. And there's a lot of people that just hold liquid bags of UFO, and there's a lot of people who are very serious about liquidity provisioning because they know how much yield they can earn in the future with locked-in shares. But it doesn't matter if it's UFO, doesn't matter if it's Hex, doesn't matter on what chain you are, and AMM V2 works the same every way. If one of the assets goes on a rip, you're going to end up with more of the other asset plus the yield. And then if it rebalances back out, you'll see it rebalance back out. If it goes the other way, you'll end up with the other asset more in the pair. But you own the key to that, to the value in that pair at all times, right? And so that's kind of the key.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you very much for explaining all this and going through it step by step. Is there a good tool that helps me kind of calculate this so that I can like put the percentage and change the amount, and so I can see
banana do a post, get Kongs in here right now, get this man.
Yeah, what do you need? Run that by me again.
Kongs website.
Look into PTGC. It's look into ptgc.com.
Yeah, but is it all paid? Is that all behind the paid wall?
No. Like,
so Gabriel, hold on a second, please. What exactly are you looking for in terms of looking at numbers, Gabriel? What are you trying to figure out if it's worth it for you to provide liquidity? What is it that you want to know?
Yeah, I totally focused on the greatest yield through liquidity providing, even though there's a risk, but just minimizing the risk by choosing the right ratios and managing it properly.
Okay. Well, Prairie, is that kind of information on Kong's site?
No.
I didn't think so.
No. It sounds like, Gabriel, like you want to get really granular with this. You can spend some time on looking to ptgc.com and maybe, get granular with it, but that's something that you're going to have to do on your own time.
Yeah, but I don't know what you mean by granular, but I'm just saying make a wise choice as to which pairs I pick.
It does. All the pairs are going to earn you the same. That's like Mando said, the UFO farm is like a hive. All of the pairs share the same.
Yeah, so it's not like standard liquidity provisioning where when you enter the farm, it's just you and the farm. Because in that situation, you're just earning the fee built on top of the contract, And then if you were on V2, you'd earn that ink, right? But in this UFO farm, it's a hive farm. So all of the liquidity that's in all of the different pools is generating this PulseChain revenue, right? It's all working together. Everyone who's providing liquidity is pooling their money into across all these different pools. And all of the pulse that's being generated from the fiat transactions of rebalancing the UFO farm pools is coming to the system in pulse. And that pulse is then redistributed to everyone based on their UFO share rates. So everyone is contributing to making and harnessing the PulseChain revenue. It's not all individualistic. It's one big farm. It's one big massive capital farm that's yielding the pulse. And then the pulse is distributed to each person in the farm based on their share rate, their UFO share rate. So that's why it's a hive, and it's different from a standard AMM.
Well,
So that
provisioning. Gabriel,
that's-
before
Go
you
ahead.
speak, let me just give you like some numbers, okay? So just the UFO pulse pool, there's been $14 million in how many days? In 266 days.
Those numbers just seem low to me, man.
It's not, because you got to add in the PulseX, the PDI, the everything added together. And actually on Dex Tools, it doesn't let me see like how much like volume happened with the PDI and UFO pool. So let's just add about, which would be a humble number of an extra 7 million. So that's $21,000. And 3% of that, so let's just say that's 21 million in volume in the whole ecosystem times 0.03. That's $630,000 that has been paid out to LP providers.
Correct.
Right. And so how does that yield percentage compare to just taking the same capital and going right to the PulseX farms?
Because, so if you think about it, how much has Inc. actually paid out to people? So you have to think about the price that's been paid out to people, but also you have to look at how much Inc. has gone down in value.
Well, I mean, you can also say the same thing about it going up in price as well.
Yeah, but you're also when you're doing that though, you're obviously swimming in a much larger pool of liquidity whales than you are in this system.
True.
It does not generate revenue in the same way. It's generating real revenue from outside of the system in PulseChain, and you're swimming in a much smaller liquidity pool web than you are when you're going to PulseX V1, V2, where you've got $124 million or whatever is in there. On UFO, there's $13 million of liquidity across 6 different pairs. So you're going to earn way more money, in my opinion, in a smaller pool, and it's obviously contingent on volume. But here's the other thing. Because it is contingent on volume, the same thing with pTGC. It's like with Hex, right? Like with Hex, it's like, okay, if a bigger pays better, longer pays better, I stake it out, and I'm just going to get the same consistent yield, 8%, whatever it is, unless someone does this major EAS or, and some extra comes my way. It's pretty much a stagnant, yield. But with these systems, if the volume ramps up, your yield can go 4, 5, 6, 10x. It's not this just static locked in thing, but it's also coming from outside the system, and you're participating in a smaller cup of capital, which enables people to earn more rewards.
Okay, so let's go closer in on that. When you say, I really like this concept about the outside coming in, the outside capital coming in, can you help me understand that better?
Yeah, so UFO and pTGC are fiat transaction tokens. So you have to have UFO if you want to partake in the liquidity pool and the liquidity provisioning, right? Every single transaction that's taking place within the UFO liquidity web, all the buys, all the sells, all the transfers, all the everything, right? There's a 6% fee that is garnished by the system. It's a revenue generating system. And out of the 6%, 3%, or exactly half of the revenue, is redistributed in Pulse to liquidity providers. All right. Now in Pulse X, there's a 0.29 fee. I believe 74% of the 0.29 fee is given to liquidity providers. Another 0.2 something is to the buy and burn for Pulse X. And then another point something else is given to a no expectations wallet. That's on V1. On V2, it's the same thing. There's a fee. And then there's the rest is paid out in ink. But in this system, you get the standard fee on V2, but instead of getting ink, you're earning in PulseChain, but you're earning it not in the same way that you earn it on PulseX V2 standard version. You're earning it based on the amount of volume and activity being pushed through the rebalancing of the pools. So it's a completely different way of the system generating revenue, and it's not paying in ink, it's paying in PulseChain, which is, it's a desirable token. And you're not playing around in the big boy pools. You're paying. You're in a smaller cup, sharing in the Pulse revenue, as opposed to in this massive cup, sharing in the whale ink garnishing of revenue. And as the system grows, and as the liquidity web's USD value grows, okay, you're talking about going from 13 million to, let's say it goes to 100 million. Now there's $100 million of LP working on behalf of LP providers, garnishing that 6%, half being sent to liquidity providers, and then the other half, buying and burning pTGC, buying and burning UFO, and adding more liquidity. So the system is it's just different and it's unique. It's a first in class. If it's a one of a kind, there's no other systems like it on PulseChain. It's built on top of PulseChain, but it's built very differently than what you would see in the standard AMM versions. But that's going to help you make a choice on if you want to provide liquidity or not. You cannot get away from a permanent loss. If the thing that you hold goes up against the other thing, you end up with less of the other thing. But the value of your LP is that I think Zen, a good thing to do would be to have Gabriel go in there and just take a look at the wallet that has all the different LPs and what the 30,000 to $1 million challenge wallet. I think that's a really good way of letting people see the value of liquidity provisioning. Because when you see that your LP has value regardless of a permanent loss, you have to look at it both ways.
Yeah, it's that's the thing is that's kind of why we wrote within both pTGC and UFO that you can just hold the tokens as well, Gabriel, because impermanent loss is a thing that a lot of people don't want to deal with. With pTGC and UFO, you can hold both of these assets and still earn APY. And it's actually a pretty competitive APY for just holding. There isn't a lot of places in crypto that you can earn a competitive APY for just holding the token that's not based on inflation of the token itself. And the token is still hyper deflationary. So the tokens you do hold are actually becoming scarcer and scarcer and scarcer. So if impermanent loss, because it's a real thing, like if UFO outperforms PLS and you're in that LP pool, you're obviously going to have way less UFO and way more PLS than you started with. If you just hold UFO, you actually don't even need to worry about any of that stuff, and you're going to be getting more UFO tokens dripping into your wallet with no impermanent loss.
So, right. So the
Grace,
percentage.
can I chime in?
Yeah, please.
I think he's concerned about that risk. And when do you really have a risk when you LP? If one of the tokens is a shit token, right? And what did Grace pair his UFO with? What tokens? Did you check the website, Gabriel?
Yeah, it's paired with everything.
It's paired with what?
It's only paired with
PLS. Do you think any of those tokens are gonna disappear or go to zero completely?
No.
So if it's not so in that case, what is impermanent loss? If you got two good tokens, even though one of them goes up and the other one goes down, obviously, but the total value, what Mando was just talking about, just keeps increasing in value. And if you don't like the token that you're gaining, you could just use PLSX and swap it for the one that you like. You just pay the transaction fee. So to me, it's not impermanent loss. I mean, impermanent loss means permanent gain in this scenario, particular scenario.
Right.
yeah.
So it's about ratios and figuring out which is
Plus,
what?
so you can swap it, to get more, you can, whatever you earn PLSX or PLS, you can use it to buy more UFO, right? After you get out. And after all this period, you also earn the PLS, those fees that Mando and others were talking about. So here on pTGC, UFO farms, there's no such thing as a loss. Yeah, it's impermanent loss, which equals permanent gain.
Yeah,
good,
great point. I love that point, and that is logical, but I just need to quantify.
Yeah, because you have to hear it from the simple guy like me.
Thank you.
Guys,
Well,
what is this kind of screaming in the background? There's pretty bad noise. I'm gonna cut that off.
Is it from me? Is it coming right now?
No.
I think it was coming from you, Mando. Or maybe it's me.
Not me.
That's gotta be Honey Badger.
That's me. It's me. It's the sounds coming from me.
No, it wasn't coming from you. It was coming from Coach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's just fighting Honey Badger.
Okay. So what is is there some real numbers like what percentage can I earn a day or a week or a month, whatever's easy for you, on just buying UFO, and then obviously you're earning the tax fee coming in by just holding UFO, but then if you put it in the farm, you're earning double. You're earning the tax amount coming in, and you're also earning your farm amount. So it's like double. So what percentage difference is there? I mean, what are some real numbers? So let's say you put $1,000. I mean, what percentage? Triple in what? A week, a day, a month, or what? I mean,
3% versus 1% just by just holding. And you get 3% in the LP.
Oh, you're saying the difference between, okay, so you're saying that I would get paid 1% per day in just holding the UFO token?
How about we break it down to APY for you, Gabriel?
Okay.
The APY from February 10th last year to today for LPing UFO.
All right, hold on. Who is this? Gabriel, mute yourself.
What's that?
Mute yourself, please.
Okay.
Thanks. We'll just see how that works. Okay, just listen for a second. So The APY for LPing UFO from February 10th last year to today was 53%. APY for holding UFO, same time frame, almost a year, 93%. I hope that helps you, Gabriel. Does anybody else have any questions?
So that would be, so if you do both, you get 153%.
No, nope. LP'd UFO does not earn reflections. So that's one of the unique things about, it's one of the unique things about this system, the UFO token in particular, is that the tokens that are in an LP position aren't earning reflections. So the tokens that aren't in those LP positions are earning all of those reflections instead.
So you just basically told me that 93% is better not to, there's no incentive to go into the farm.
If that's how you want to look at it, then that's a decision you have to make. But you also need to understand that from what I have been able to gather, the UFO share rate, which you can get today or as soon as you make an LP, is going to become more and more difficult to attain. So what I have done is I have LP'd some of my UFO to lock in my share rate. And I know I have suffered impermanent loss, but my share rate will not change, has not changed. I've done a little bit of LP, and with some other UFO, I'm simply holding it. So I am earning PLS and I'm earning UFO. So I am making somewhere between 53% APY and 93% APY.
Right. Okay. So, but this is very attractive to someone that has a lot of core coins to pair it and make yield.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone is just taking fresh capital, then it's better for them to just buy UFO because you're getting a higher percentage. And if someone has, core RH coins, well, don't they want to make some yield on it?
Sure. A lot of people do, and they are.
Yeah, that's kind of the whole idea behind it, Gabriel. Some people don't want to go all in on one protocol. They want to hold some of their RH tickers still. But with this system, you can put these RH tickers to work if you choose to. You don't have to. You can also just hold UFO, and like Banana said, the UFO APY for just holding has been actually really, really awesome, because all the people who are providing LP for the system are actually working for all the holders and the buy and burn of UFO and the buy and burn of pTGC. So it is in a way of a donation, but a lot of those players are some of the bigger players of the system who don't mind making that donation. But for smaller players, it does make a lot of sense to just hold. Like I see that side of it quite well.
And also, if you're a bigger player, you want the ecosystem to benefit because you benefit from that.
100%. You're helping buying and burning the supply of it, which helps price appreciation. You're also giving the holders a better APY, which helps with onboarding. It helps buy and burn pTGC as well, which a lot of the big players in UFO are also holders of pTGC. So you're giving back to the mothership. There's a lot of reasons, right?
Come on, eight life paths. Come on, yin yang, yin yang.
Gabriel, I think we are going to move just into the moon math section. If you don't mind, just because we kind of have to shut it down somewhat soon. But we are going to move that today as well, and we have PCs. I think that was Gabriel, actually.
Yes.
Gabriel, you got a background wreckage.
Say
Okay.
again, what?
Yeah, so do us a favor, man. Any other questions, just come into the TG. Hit up Prairie. You can see him right here, Prairie Banana. He's got all the spreadsheets. If you want any extra information, just go direct to him in the DM, and we're going to move on to Blue Math. But appreciate all your questions, Matt.
Yeah. Okay. So we are on lookintoptgc.com. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to the Moon Math tab, and we're going to look at how pTGC could respond to a move in pulse price of 100x. We'll set the X factor to 5. Just let me know if you want to fudge around with the numbers, guys, and I can change it.
How can I see what you're looking at?
Go to my channel at prairiebanana.com. I'm going to like narrate the whole thing too. So, but you're welcome to go to my channel. We're going to presume that Pulse does a 100x, and pTGC in this instance is going to move against Pulse at a factor of 5. So we're going to click on the calculate button. And in this instance, pTGC does a 500x. And the end price is 28 cents. Because it moved against Pulse at a factor of 5, Pulse did a 100x, and we end up at a 28 cent pTGC, or a 500x. Now let's look at the reflections. And if you have any questions on that, you can drop them in the chat or ask them. I should ask see if you guys have any questions before I move on. Any questions? Okay. We are going to look at the reflections for pTGC and UFO. And this is reflections only. It's not going to count any LP rewards or staking rewards. I'm going to use a demo wallet. Calculate yields. And hold on a second. I got to go into experimental mode because I want to set the volume. You guys think we should use about $10 million in volume? Do you think that's modest enough? I'm going to use 10. Okay, this is going to show us $10 million in volume, and what $10 million in volume will garner for pTGC reflections. Well, you see here the yearly return is 30%. And again, that's reflections only, not counting staking rewards and locking rewards, which we reviewed at the beginning of this space. And the staking rewards were 165% above holding rewards. And Zen, do you remember what the locking rewards were above that? I might have to pull it. I think it was 231%. 165% for staking, 231% for locking. And you might have to articulate that.
Yeah, just so when we look at these numbers on Banana's screen, or he'll say them out loud, what he's telling us is if you're just a holder, you decided to not stake and lock. But we can also predict off of the last year based on what we've additionally earned from staking and locking, and we can predict what your APY would be if you're a staker or a staker and locker as well.
Yep. Okay. Let me look at my screen here. Okay. Yeah. You guys can't see that. Okay. I wanted to show you something, but we just can't do it real quick. So 30% APY for $10 million in volume on pTGC, reflections only. And go ahead.
Much real quick, Banana. So if you were a staker and the 10-year locker, you would be earning over 90% APY.
Okay. All right. All right, and I'm scroll down to some of the smaller sea creature leagues. A dolphin is $17,000 of pTGC. The cost for one dolphin is $17,000. So a dolphin at $10 million in volume would earn $5,000 a year in yield for reflections only. And you just said it would be 90%. So if this gentleman staked his pTGC and locked it also, he would be earning 15,000. Does that sound right, Zen?
Well, it's over 200% of what the holding reflections is. So what is the holding reflections that he's receiving?
4.9 or $5,000 for holding.
Okay, yeah, so it'd be just over $15,000.
Okay.
If he was staked and locked out 10 years. If
Okay.
he was just staked, I believe it's closer to probably 12.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you're not locked, you're just staked, which is single-sided staking with no time constraints, you'd be receiving around $12,000 with the dolphin position. And like Banana said, that dolphin position today is worth roughly $17K.
Yeah. So we'd have to have $10 million in volume to break even on that bag. And one thing you need to know about staking is that, like, I'm a fan of staking. I stake all of my pTGC, and I'm also a fan of locking. But if you stake and you want to end your stake, you're going to pay a 1% fee, which goes to all the other stakers. And it's only 1%. And you will get ROI on it. We estimate rather quickly, depending on volume and price appreciation. But then it's only 1%. Well, let's have a look at UFO. You know what? Let's go back and do $50 million in volume, because I hope we have $50 million volume days. So at $50 million in volume, let's look at that same dolphin position. $16,000 bag of pTGC, $26,000 reflections only. That would be $75,000 if it was staked and locked at $50 million in volume. Now let's look at UFO. Now, UFO does not have the staking function and the locking function that pTGC does. You can LP it, but none of that is factored into this calculator. We're going to set the volume at $10 million, 113% ROI. 130% APY right off the jump for $10 million in volume. And let's look at a dolphin, which is a $5,000 for a single dolphin position. And at $10 million in volume, it earns $6,000 in yield. So that's pretty juicy. Because if you go higher than $10 million and go to $50 million, there's your yearly return of 563% APY. And then you guessed right that your yield is going to 5x. $5,000 bag earning $60,000 a year in reflections. Of course, if you wanted to LP half that bag, you would earn half of that, but you would be earning Pulse with the other half if you wanted to do something like that. And that's it for the calculators. We already showed Mando, if you haven't looked at the locking calculator, it's on the free side of the site. I don't know if you were in on the early part of the call, but Crypto Kong built in a really cool locking estimating reward calculator that you should have a look at. It's pretty sweet. I think the lockers in this system are going to be whistling Dixie in due time. I think as number goes up, people will be tempted to unlock. We all will probably be tempted at least. And then as the number goes up, and that's the key thing with locking rewards, is we want the value of those tokens to be high. And that's where we're really going to see the rewards, is when the value of the tokens has increased. We've gone to a penny or 10 cents. And then when somebody unlocks $100 million or 100 million pTGC bag and nukes 300 million,
Yeah.
it goes to the other lockers. That's when those other lockers are going to be like, wow.
Yeah, but
You know?
I think people don't realize though that it's not just 30%, right? If you early end a lock,
Yes.
you're actually paying 36%.
Right. You are correct. And
So-
we can presume that those people are going to end stake. And I think you actually have that 1% factored in there, right?
Yeah, well, there's no. Why the hell would you sell if you're not? Why would you? How would you end the stake and take a 30% freaking haircut if you're not going to sell?
Exactly. So they got to
You
end
would
the
never do
stake.
that. So you're paying 36% to exit early,
Yep.
which makes no sense. If you're going to do that, you might as well just, that's just crazy to do that to yourself. Hey, if the thing just went and did a 10,000x, you won't give a shit. But
It would still hurt to leave
that
that money
would
in
be a
there.
bad haircut. Oh man, that's a horrible haircut. Yeah, but I'll tell you, at least it's better than eating all of it.
Mm-hmm. That's equivalent to paying taxes, man. We grumble about taxes. Oof. And that's the thing, though. You would end up paying taxes on what you took home, too. So 30%.
Yeah. So,
whoa.
Just switching gears just a little bit. I think that personally here, I'm very bullish on the system. I'm very bullish on what I'm personally seeing in the robustness of this system and the way that it's reacting to market shifts. Look at pTGC. It's almost at $190 million market cap. And it's just like there's just people aren't willing to get rid of the tokens in any copious amounts whatsoever at this point. It feels to me like there's another big buildup happening. That Interpol drop down and retrace, it kind of, in my mind, doesn't count because you're just watching reflexivity in pools happen on that drawdown and back up, right? So it wasn't indicative of like people actually selling out of their pTGC positions. But the fact that we're almost at a $200 million market cap and PulseChain is down here at 49.05, moving into this environment that we're going into, I don't see how anyone who understands the system doesn't look at the price of this and say, wow, this is a very undervalued token. I don't see how you don't look at this and say, yeah, there's no other token generating millions of dollars of revenue per year in a very unfavorable environment with no overhead and 100% bringing it back to the token holders. Because there's nothing like it that exists anywhere else. This is the only ecosystem that does that, right? The only place you can find something like that is if you actually own a part of Coinbase, or if you own a part of Gemini, or if you own, a portion of the No Expectations wallet of PulseX. So, in addition to it being just a phenomenally master-crafted cryptocurrency, the chart is telling us something. The chart doesn't lie, right? The liquidity pools do not lie. It's not removable. It's protocol owned. And the pools for UFO, they're generating even more buy and burn than the actual pTGC protocol itself. And in my opinion, these liquidity pools, they're going to revalue in what I think is going to be a breakneck pace. None of us know the future, but if we have anything positive just whiff in our favor over here on PulseChain regulatory wise, I think you're going to see a 150 to 200% revaluation almost overnight. And, if that happens, and when that happens, we're not looking at $188 million market cap pTGC. Coach, you're killing me, man. We're looking at, much higher than that. And that would actually be indicative of still a very undervalued asset. Because in the real world, if you have something that's generating millions of dollars of revenue and has no overhead, in the real world, when you're looking to sell that thing, it's multiples of the market. It's multiples of the revenue that's being generated, right? Any way you look at it. So when you have this much amount of energy that's being harnessed, economic energy that's being harnessed, and it's constantly mathematically being forced to fit in less and less tokens, because ultimately it is all about this token. The token is the thing that has to absorb all the energy that the system is garnishing. It can't. The energy can't go anywhere else. It has to go back into the token price. So when you have that many tokens being burned out of existence, and you're at the bottom of PulseChain still, and you can see what the market is doing. The market is telling us, you have to follow the market. If you want to fight against the market, you're going to always have a hard time making money. It's like when so many people didn't want to realize that this was a meme coin cycle, and they're still looking for freaking utility or a reason why a crypto has to exist, right? But if you don't fight the market is saying that there's a huge amount of demand on pTGC's ecosystem. It's undeniable. The market is saying that the holders of the pTGC ecosystem aren't willing to relinquish their tokens in any large amounts. Because if they were, you'd have massive retracements, not from reflexivity, but from actual dumps on the chart, which isn't happening. You have a $20,000 sell off, 15, maybe sometimes 50,000. None of that stuff even messes with this chart at this point. What happens when you get a revaluation from 25 million in liquidity to 100, 200 million in liquidity? So prior to that happening, I just don't see at these small cap levels, because basically once you reach $100 million market cap, you're at the very beginning baby stages of a small cap, which is exactly where this thing's at, right? But if you go down the list on CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko, look at the things that we're actually in, because we're not listed with those things. But go compare what we're up against in terms of the market caps, and you start realizing, like, wow, this thing could really quick be $1 billion market cap, like overnight. And then now you're having to look at, okay, now what are the things that are in the $1 billion market cap range, right? So I think that, like what Zen was saying earlier, like when you're looking at this saying, oh, wow, I wish I could have got in, whatever. Yeah, but 99.9% of the time, frankly, you're talking about some shit coin or some meme coin or some core coin, and where you have no clue what you're going to get out of that. The best thing I've seen so far with this is that when you get into the system, you start to develop a relationship with the heartbeat of the system. And like, show me emojis if you know what I'm talking about. You start to realize that there is a pulse to the system, and you can start to kind of sense where it's at in its next cycle, where it's undervalued, when it's undervalued based on where its liquidity bonding is. And, that's why the Dow was literally able to buy the bottom on the day on the last rundown, because everything had that massive drawdown with Interpol, and PulseChain was on its ass literally down there at the bottom. And it's just like, nobody's selling it. All this volume's coming in, which is generating all this PulseChain volume, and it's got to go back into the chart. So my main thing for right now, guys, is find out how this system actually is really working. I know that's why you're in the space, but I think that like this next run up is really going to like break a lot of necks, because I'm thinking that we're going to, in the very near future, be staring at like a $300-400 million market cap on this thing. none of this is advice. I'm just telling you that. And to be honest, guys, I think that you guys all know that, and it's just based off of just basic math of what we're looking at. So where are you at if you're staring at a $400 million market cap pTGC? Are you going, oh, I should have got in at 180? You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I wanted to also bring up a point that you kind of reminded me of, Mando, about how you're talking about the system is growing, right? But the value it's generating is having to always fit in less and less tokens. So as liquidity revalues, or even if liquidity doesn't revalue with PulseChain, because obviously we haven't had the help of PulseChain for the last year and a half that this came out, right? But our liquidity has continued to grow and grow and grow, and it will continue to grow due to the mechanics of the system, with even out the help of PulseChain. But like you're saying, with the help of PulseChain, that revaluation can happen within days, weeks, like in large amounts. Like it can revalue 10x in a matter of weeks, right? But the value that it's generating, if it's generating 10 times the amount of value, it's still going to have to continuously fit in less and less tokens, because the tokens are constantly decreasing. And the thing that I want everyone to kind of think about, and this is what I think really gives a lot of value to the system, is that web that is generating the value. The only way you get to actually realize the value it's generating, either in APY or price appreciation, is by holding the tokens. The only way you mine APY is by holding the tokens. The only way you can get price appreciation within this asset is by holding those tokens. So the only way you can actually access the power of the liquidity web that's built in the system is literally by buying the tokens and holding them. And then what also, helps appreciate the tokens is when you bought them in general. When you bought to hold these miners, these tokens, these appreciating systems, not forever appreciation, the market has its cycles. There will be crazy weeks that pump super hard. There also will be weeks that draw down. Like this is a guarantee. Like this doesn't not happen. But we have actually seen what it can do in long periods of time if you zoom out on the chart and look at the last year and a half. And you can sit there confident saying the liquidity is growing and the supply is decreasing. And when this system revalues, and instead of generating, for an example, sorry, I need to pull it up. Today, pTGC generated $14,800 in value, and UFO generated $25,000 in value. Like, what if PulseChain revalues and it's $250,000 in value, $150,000 in value? The only way you actually get to realize on that value generation is by having a portion of the supply. And, like Gabriel was saying, some people do sell, and, why did your chart bounce back up is because there is a wall of demand of people kind of waiting on the sideline, I feel, that want to have a portion of what this machine represents and is. Yeah, there is going to be people that are up and they're going to take some profits to pay bills, but then they're just passing that machine on to someone who does want to pick it up off their hands at whatever price it is via the liquidity pools, right? The automated market maker. That's what's so beautiful about them. It sets the price to whatever people are willing to bid and sell them at, and that's what draws the price down, and that's what raises the price up. But yeah,
well, you also know too. The bottom line is that people are starting to realize it, and we have some larger, more savvy people that are starting to purchase up the token supply as well. As a matter of fact, there was a great conversation had today with some very large people, and It's because the performance of the product cannot be denied anymore. Right? It's like if something's right in front of you and it's all open source and it's all transparent and it's just everything is there, isn't that what you look for in crypto? Like that's what you look for. That's what we always look for, right? And then you find it, and it's like what Gabriel said. You find it, and then it's like, oh, it's the too good to be true thing. So now you go from I'm trying to find the too good to be true thing to I think I found it, but now I have to go into analysis paralysis for 4 months, trying to figure out why it's broken or why it's not going to work, right? So it's just funny mind screw, but. Guys, the thing is we've been doing that ourselves the whole time. You can ask Zen. Like, we've been doing this the whole time. We think the same way. What's the gotcha? What's the gimme? What's the black swan event? Like, you know? So don't think that, like, you know, just all of us don't think the same things. It's just the system's just made phenomenally.
Yeah, and on that, like, I'm sure someone can find something that doesn't fit them perfectly, right? Like, nothing is perfect for every individual person, but damn, does this check a lot of the boxes, right, Mando? It's just, you know, we could strive for perfection and get as close to what everyone on planet Earth is looking for as far as a financial product. And I think if anyone kind of runs through the boxes that they were looking for when they ended up in crypto to use as a store of value, I strongly like create that checklist and kind of run through this product and go through it, because I think it's going to check more boxes than you even realize, because that's kind of was my plan of attack on the build of this, because I had certain boxes that I wanted to check.
So where you at, man? Is it it's about that time for the night? Or are you good?
It's that time if no one else really has anything else to go.
I got one for banana.
Yeah, I think it is too.
Go, Rick, on text.
So banana, you've been doing this moon math and stuff.
You got something, Rick?
So
Yeah, he's talking to me.
So once we reach that moon, which is already very visible, are you gonna be doing like outer space math? Because that moon is pretty close to me already.
Yeah. Well,
And by the way, everybody, this is the only straight banana, you know, in the world that I need, so you gotta appreciate that. So outer space math.
well, that'll be Kong's job. See, he's the mega nerd. I might be a nerd. Kong is the mega nerd, and he would laugh. He's my friend.
Okay.
He'll be doing the beyond the moon math.
All right, and Gabriel, don't pair UFO with dick with butt or, you know, orange or something like that. Don't recommend that.
Appreciate. No,
All right, have a good night, guys.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm a core RH believer.
Yeah, so
I do see the future in PDI as well.
well, that's the whole entire farm right there, Gabriel. That's, you know, Gabriel, I really appreciate you coming into these. If you ever want to join our Telegram, I do hold VCs twice a week in there, where it's a lot more in-depth private conversation. That's, you know, not so much for the spaces. If you ever want to hop in there, and if you have any specific questions or just conversation, feel free to join. I do it randomly at times, but I do have 2 scheduled times a week that I have always shown up for. I'm sure one day I'll miss because of something, but tomorrow on Tuesdays, it's 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and Thursdays, it's 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you ever have any questions or comments or just want to chat about crypto or products or anything like that, feel free to come in there. It's just an open mic. It's private combo. It's small group of guys usually show up, but feel free to come in if you want.
I will do, and thank you very much for just a great group of people that are really pounding through all the details and maximizing everything. It's very encouraging to have a good group like this.
I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, we're just kind of putting the ball a little bit in our court and trying to score a few baskets for our team.
That's right.
Yeah, Banana, I had a super busy day, and I'm just going to spend a little time with the wife and kid before I need to crash. So
Yeah, you're good, man. I know you had a long day. Didn't hear from you much, but it was good space. 2.5 hours. I think we need to check out and get some rest, and we'll reconvene on Saturday morning at 7 a.m. Pacific on Spaces.
all right, see you guys.
See you guys. Oh, yeah. That was good. It's always good. Who is still here? I didn't have any issues. Yeah, guys. All right. Day one of new president. Day one. And think of it, guys. We have where's my calculator? 365 times 4 days of President Trump, Donald Trump. But we need to pray for his protection, because I'm sure some people want to plug him, which would be really sad. All right, guys. Thanks for showing up. I'll have an AMA on Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific. If you want to jump into that and learn a little bit, you are welcome. All right. Have a good night, guys. Bye.